I don't ever want to hit rock bottom again. Like, I don't want it to get to that point and then ask for help. I don't ever want it to be too late. And I'm just wanting to remind everyone else that it's okay to ask for help. Even if you're not at rock bottom, you don't need to hit rock bottom to ask for help, you know? Hey, what's up guys? It's me, Ali, Alicia, whatever you guys call me. Welcome back to my channel. Sorry for the glare of my glasses. I decided sitting by a window would be the best place. There might be a lot of background noise from the portable AC running, but today is March 11th. It is 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and I decided that I'm going to attempt to make a video of my entire cancer journey. I'm going to go into as much detail as possible without going into as much detail as possible, since it is quite a long journey. So, as you guys all know, I'm diagnosed with pediatric wild-type GIST with SDHA deficiency. I was initially diagnosed in June of 2013. I had some severe abdominal pain. I thought it was, well, my pediatrician at the time thought it was gas. I thought it was period cramps. But every time I tried to eat, I just remember the pain getting worse and worse and worse. So I ended up in the emergency room at the Children's Hospital here in Hawaii, and it turns out that I had a tumor that had burst. And the only symptoms that I had was that severe pain. And yeah, so a tumor had burst, and I have some notes. I had emergency surgery to remove a tumor that was about the size of a golf ball from my stomach. And sorry, I lose my train of thought sometimes when I talk about my cancer journey, because it was such, I mean, I'm still on my cancer journey, but it's such a kind of a rough time thinking about everything that has happened. But I figure it's good to reshare my story once in a while. So anyways, a tumor the size of a golf ball got removed, and that was on the June 2nd. And then on June 12th, I had another surgery, an exploratory laparotomy, to make sure that we got all the tumors out. So there was no evidence of like any of the tumor left behind. I stayed in the hospital probably for about over 2 weeks total with all of that, and I was diagnosed with stage 3A malignant GIST, and it was managed with that surgical resection. I was no evidence of a disease for almost 5 years, but in between those 5 years, I did struggle a lot mentally. Just a quick trigger warning, I did have a severe depressive episode in February of 2016. So almost 3 years after diagnosis, I was having a really hard time adjusting to life after diagnosis and being treated differently by people. I was bullied in high school. People thought that I made up having cancer because we had another girl who was going through active like chemotherapy treatments and everything, and she was losing her hair. You could see her surgery scars and everything. Some of my best friends at the time had gone around telling people that I was pregnant and that I was missing school because I went and got an abortion, which was completely untrue. But anyways, I was no evidence of disease for almost 5 years. Right before I hit that 5-year mark, I had a reoccurrence in my cancer. I went to that oncologist appointment, my first oncologist appointment by myself, and that was quite traumatizing, going to an appointment on my own and then being told that my cancer had relapsed. And I was just on a wait and watch for that 5 years, by the way. And then after the reoccurrence, I did end up getting an endoscopy to confirm reoccurrence, to confirm the pathology. And in October of 2018, I went onto a clinical trial, a glutathione, S something. Hold on, let me find out what it says. I don't know. It was a guadocytamine clinical trial for people with pheochromocytomas, kidney cancer, and paragangliomas. I was on that treatment for just about a year with inconclusive results. It was decided by my medical team at the NIH and my medical team here and with me to stop the clinical trial for quality of life. And we just continued with the Weight and Watch protocol after that. The guadocytamine trial really was not too bad. I had some side effects. I was having some like localized allergic reaction. I don't know if that's even the right words, but I had some reactions to the trial. My stomach would start to get some hives and everything, but it never spread any further than that. The guadocytamine trial was injections in my stomach for 5 days. I can't remember at this point because I was flying back and forth like every 3 weeks up to Maryland, and it was really taking a toll on me and my mental health and everything. And throughout that time, I was actually admitted to the ICU for an upper respiratory infection, influenza A, and coronavirus 229E. Complicated by hypoxic respiratory failure and septic shock requiring vasopressor support. I was in the ICU for, I want to say, 3 or 4 days, and then I was released and continued on with the clinical trial. Throughout the clinical trial, there was not really much growth, but after that, from 2019 till, what year is it now? 2024, my tumors have slowly started to grow and my lymph nodes have started to grow as well. So there is about 5 to 6 spots that they are watching. At one point there was a spot on the liver they were watching, but I don't know what happened with that. I guess it resolved itself on its own. And then I had my first telehealth appointment, or I had a telehealth appointment with Dr. Sicklick and Dr. Oh my goodness, names. I should know the names of my doctors. This is so embarrassing. Dr. Sicklick and Dr. Fanta. My tumors appear resectable, given slowly progressed disease over the last couple of years. So they recommended to me sunitinib or Sutent and temozolomide. And if there's stable disease from any of those, then they would reconsider surgical resection. And so we decided to go with Sutent first due to how strong the medication is and everything, and it's just been going from there. Oh yeah, and then after before I did all of this, I was diagnosed with iron deficient anemia again because I did have bleeding. I had dark black tarry stools back in March of 2025, but don't do what I did. I chose to ignore it because I had just started a new job. I was trying to get used to a new normal and everything, and I never ignore any health issues that are going on. I had iron infusions, and then I was on iron supplements and folic acid to help bring my blood count back up, and yeah. And then now getting on to what's happening now. I started the Sutent on, I wrote this down actually, hold on. I know I should have like gone and like written everything down prior, but I just like talking about things and how I'm doing and everything. So I started Sutent on October 19th, 2025 at 12.5 milligrams, titrated up to 25 milligrams on 11/2. The titration failed due to intense side effects. I had fever, body, joint aches, joint pain, hand and foot syndrome, mucositis, and chills. So we went back down to the 25. We tried to titrate back up again on 11/7 to 37.5 milligrams. And that lasted till 11/21 on that dose. I ended up going back down to 25 milligrams till my insurance ran out on December 3rd. My insurance ran out due to my previous employer having a compliance issue with their insurance. They never transferred my insurance over to Cobra. I was fighting with the insurance here and Cobra and them for 3 weeks straight with no resolution for that. It resulted in me losing my drug coverage, and I was off treatment for 29 days till my insurance from my new job kicked in due to the lack of urgency and support to fix this issue for my previous employer's end. I have now currently been on Sutin since January 3rd, 2026 at 25 milligrams. The side effects that I have been experiencing is body aches, joint pain, headaches, hypertension, lightening of my hair, fatigue, insomnia, mucositis, dizziness, lightheadedness, nausea, and a whole lot of GI upset. And I'm pretty sure that my face keeps breaking out around my nose from this medication as well. I've also lost quite a bit of weight from not being able to eat properly. And as of right now, it's too early to see if there's any results from treatment since I was off treatment right now. So in December, I had a restaging. December, I had restaging, and my next scan is going to be in April of 2026. So next month. And that's just like a quick overview of like this whole cancer journey thing. I've had a lot of ups and downs throughout this whole thing. A couple of things that I want to point out or remind anyone who has any type of illness is that you are your biggest advocate. And if you have someone else that will help advocate for you, use them. I had a really hard time speaking up for myself for the longest time. The time that I had influenza A and the coronavirus, and I was in the ICU, one of the nurses or doctors, I don't remember who specifically, told me, you're no longer allowed to come here because you're no longer pediatric. But I was at a pediatric and women's hospital, so they had no right to say that to me, in all honesty. And from the beginning of my cancer journey up until a couple years ago, I had the same oncologist. Over the last couple years, I recently transitioned over to the adult oncologist. I've had my ups and downs with her so far. She says some funky things sometimes, but all in all, I am satisfied with the care that I'm receiving at this time. One of the things that she did tell me was just like, oh, you're a young, healthy individual. But if I was a young, healthy individual, I wouldn't be sitting in an oncologist's office at 26, 27 years old, right? And then another time she had said, oh, I'm not going to look at your blood work because you look healthy. That's 2 strikes already, but you know, it is hard to find decent doctors sometimes, so I am sticking it out for a little bit longer before I reconsider either changing health systems completely or trying to find another oncologist that's willing to take on my care. That is also another issue with where I live, that it is a little bit difficult to find someone who was willing to take on my care. It took my pediatric oncologist over a year to find someone that was willing to take me on because as far as I know, there's only 1 or 2 other people diagnosed with even remotely similar cancer as me here in Hawaii. And I could be completely wrong about that now, but a couple years ago that was the case. Nobody wanted to take me on. And yeah, so I guess I can go into a little bit more depth about like just things in general. So, I mean, I talked about my cancer and everything. I got bullied in high school for it, and I lost a lot of friends. But as I was talking about advocacy, it is very important to speak up for yourself and advocate for what you want and what your needs are. So if you are diagnosed or your doctors think you have something like GIST, always make sure that you get genetic testing done so you can find out any like genetic mutations or other like information with that. I recently did Boston gene testing. What is the other one called? Boston gene testing and no, sorry, I have like a whole bunch of stuff written down here. Shoots, sorry, 1 second. Where is it? We did a whole bunch of like mutational testing and stuff though, so always make sure that you do that mutational testing. I don't think I said it. I mean, I've said it in other videos, but I do have a stage 4 GIST cancer, which kind of sucks to say out loud. In all honesty, I am planning on going back to therapy because I've just been having a lot of trouble adjusting to. So since October, so actually, let's take a step back for a second. So where is it? Boo, 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 boo. So in October, I had my oocyte retrieval. I had an egg retrieval done to preserve his fertility. So that was a hard decision to make. I took out like an $8,000 loan to pay for that. But I would like to have the option to have kids in the future. I don't know if I want kids, but I would like the option to have kids because the other thing is I have a 50% chance of passing it down on to my children if I ever have children. And so we started off with that, with the egg retrieval, which was quite stressful by itself. And then I started a new job in November. In December, I ended a relationship, started another one. I moved houses. I had to leave all my cats behind. And if you guys know me, my cats are the absolute loves of my life. And that was one of the hardest decisions that I had to make, to leave them. I only took one cat with me, and it sucks because I thought that I was going to be running a cat rescue for the rest of my life. I still want to do things in cat rescue if I have time, but I've been working 12-hour shifts, so I have 3 days on, 4 days off, 4 days on, 3 days off, or like it switches every week, and that's been rough in itself with experiencing with all the side effects. And in all honesty, some of my biggest fears is not being able to do like things that I want to do. I push myself harder than I should. I don't know when to take a break. I don't know when to ask for help. I don't know how to set boundaries with people. And I just want to work on bettering myself, even if it's just checking in with a therapist once a month. I think it's very important to take care of your mental health. I am back on ADHD medications and anxiety medications as of right now. I have an appointment tomorrow to see if I'm going to go back on some type of SSRI or something. And I used to be embarrassed a long time ago. I used to be embarrassed talking about it because of that severe depressive episode that I had when I was in high school. But mental health is not something that anyone should ever be embarrassed about, because everybody goes through things and everybody handles things differently. And just life stressors in general, childhood trauma, trauma from cancer, trauma from school, from being bullied, trauma from just anything and everything. Everything will always add up and feel like it's weighing you down. And I don't ever want to hit rock bottom again. Like, I don't want it to get to that point and then ask for help. I don't ever want it to be too late. And I'm just wanting to remind everyone else that it's okay to ask for help. Even if you're not at rock bottom, you don't need to hit rock bottom to ask for help, you know? But this video has gone basically completely off topic, but not really. I'm just talking about my experiences in general because that's what this channel was initially made for. It's a safe space for everybody, and to share my experiences with life, the good, the bad, everything in between. And just, I always want people to know that they are not alone. Just because, like, so the biggest issue, one of the bigger issues that I've had with my cancer is I've never felt like I've belonged, which is kind of crazy to say. Like, I've never felt like I've belonged with other cancer patients because most of the people I've met, they've gone through active chemotherapy, active radiation, immunotherapy, this and that. They lose their hair, they're throwing up all the time, they're extremely sick. And like, I feel like shit, but I'm not extremely sick, but I shouldn't be comparing myself to others. And if you're in a situation similar to mine, don't compare yourself to others. Your feelings are valid. How you feel is valid. If you need help, reach out and ask for help. If you can't do it on your own, reach out to someone else who will help you get that help, because it's very important to take care of yourself. And you matter. You deserve to be here. Don't compare your situation to other people's situations. And I have ADHD, so I'm losing my train of thought. But I just wanted to say thank you if you made it through this video, because I talked about a bunch of random things. Maybe I'll do a more cohesive video later. But anyways, I appreciate every single one of you. Thank you so much for watching today's video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit that notification bell if you'd like to see more of my videos in the future. And I'll see you guys again soon for another vlog.